everyone, I'm Amanda with Sweet Pieces, and I know it's been a while since I did a video, but I was taking care of a little bambino. I'll have to bring her on camera one day and show you guys. She's grown up so quick. Anyway, I'm here today and we are going to do a video on VP Antico. So that kind of stands for Venetian Plaster Antico. This is an Artisan Enhancements product that we carry here at Sweet Pieces. Artisan Enhancements is a line of products. Basically, they're paint medium, so it allows you to take your paint techniques to another level. So think crackles, textures, pearlescent finishes. Artisan Enhancements has some really fantastic products. So today we're using several Artisan Enhancements products. VP Antico, which comes in a sample size and also a quart size. If you're doing a dresser like this, I would say that you are going to need the quart size. If you're just working on a small piece like a nightstand or a side table, then you can probably get away with using the sample jar. And you'll understand as we kind of go through this a bit. We are using a Stencil trowel brush. This is something, it basically has this kind of rubbery head to it, so it's going to allow us to take this very thick product and kind of trowel it on to basically through the stencil that we're using. And then also we're using a crocodile stencil, which again is another Artisan Enhancements product, really fabulous. It comes in this very large size, which is great for doing large pieces of furniture or even walls. So why would I use this product? Let me tell you a little bit about this dresser. It had this molding that was going around all the drawers, and a lot of them were broken. So we wanted to, do something to we ripped off all the molding, and we wanted to kind of enhance the drawer fronts a bit, and we're also going to enhance the top of it. So VP Antico to the rescue. Basically, this is a texture that I'm going to trowel through this. It's going to create a raised design, and then on top of that, we're going to use some of our metallic paints in a glaze, and maybe I'll do another video on the glaze over the VP Antico when we're done with this. So all this stuff, I know a lot of you always ask, is available on our website, sweetpieces.com, if you need any of it, and you can always call us if you have questions. So let me walk you through how we did this. We put a base coat on here of a custom Annie Sloan mix, 1 part French linen, 1 part country gray, 1 part pure white. Is that right, Sandy? Okay. And so we put probably 2 coats on here, and then we took VP Antico. Now VP Antico is white, so you can see this kind of has the same color as this. That's because we mixed a little bit of the paint into it. So you can mix your paint colors right into the VP Antico, or you can trowel on the VP Antico and then paint over it. Either way, you're totally fine. I wanted this to kind of, now you can see this drawer was already done. So you can see that the VP Antico was mixed a little bit darker, so, I'm sorry, the VP Antico was mixed a little bit lighter, so it comes off a little bit lighter than the actual draw color, which is great because it's going to give us some depth and dimension. So let's jump in here and get started. Let me show you how to do this. So you're going to mix in the paint. I think we did about 1/4 of paint to VP Antico. That's going to loosen it a little bit. And then I have, a little bit on my trowel brush here, and I'm basically going to start off. Now, here's another little tip. This stencil is kind of going off the edge of the dresser, so I just taped in here. When I'm done doing everything, I'll just peel this up and paint over that, and then peel up the whole stencil, which you're going to see because I'm going to show you. So I'm basically just putting this on here. Now, you can see that I'm kind of holding my stencil trowel brush kind of upright. You don't want to get it too angled, because if you do that, then you're going to get the VP Antico underneath the stencil, which we don't want. We want it to just create this really cool raised design. So I'm just troweling this, and I'm moving it. I'm just moving it along. You can see that it's filling up the spaces. We don't want this too thick. I can still see that stencil. If you make it too thick, it can become too textured. Then when you pull off your stencil, you're going to kind of get some cupping happening on your actual, the raised parts of it. So this will keep it a little bit more crisp. So you can see I'm just kind of moving on and just scoop and trowel, scoop and trowel. Now our VP Antico had some chunks in it. You can see here's one, a little chunk-a-lunk. It's okay, just kind of pick it out. Just pick it out and move on. no worries. Our products get like used a lot around here, so there's lots of different people going in them. Sometimes they get left out. We're working with customers, so you don't have to get too crazy about it. So I'm just going to keep on going here. So what we're doing with this piece is we're putting this stencil with the VP Antico on the drawer fronts and then also on the top of this, and it's going to give it a really cool effect. I'm sure you've seen these high-end pieces of furniture with this crocodile kind of effect on it. Some of them are done with high-end wallpapers. This is a really easy way for you to get a very high-end look without spending a lot of dollars. And even if you're not a professional faux finisher, and for those of you out there who are, you're amazing. I'm certainly not that. This is a really easy way to kind of dress up your space with something like this. Your friends may think you're a faux finisher. They may start asking you to paint furniture for them. So don't say I didn't warn you. So I'm just, you just gotta kind of go over it. Just keep doing it. You can see here I'm putting it off the edge. When I actually pull up this stencil, I might have a little bit of messiness here on the edge, but that's okay. I'll just take a little shop towel and kind of wipe that back, wipe it off. VP Antico is cleans up with soap and water, so easy peasy to do that. All of the Artisan Enhancements products, by the way, are environmentally friendly, low or no VOCs, so they're super fun to use because they're not going to stink up your house, and they're going to make you look like a faux finisher, which is a good thing, right? So let me just talk to you a little bit about how am I going to kind of move this stencil. How am I going to, put this back down? So what I think I'm going to do is we're going to wait until this is dry. Depending on how thickly you put it on, it may take a few hours. It may take about an hour. It really depends. You could probably use a blow dryer. I wouldn't put the heat. Here's another chunk I got in there. I wouldn't put the heat too much on it. You could just kind of, even with a fan, you can kind of blow dry it a bit. That'll kind of move it along for sure. But once it's dry, then I can kind of lay this back down and match up my stencil. And then you want to just make sure that you line it up so that your pattern continues nicely. So I'm just kind of going back over this. I'm looking for these streaky lines like this that may show up in your pattern. So I'm just very lightly with my trowel brush, just kind of feathering over them so that they don't show too much. I see another chunk, so I'm going to pick that out. Once this is dry also, I'm going to just lightly sand it down to kind of smooth it out a little bit so it's not so hard edged, I guess you could say. So if you do have any of those streaky lines, that's going to help with those as well if you do that. And you can see that my thickness here, it's a little bit, different. Some spots it's a little bit thicker and heavier, and some spots it's a little bit thinner. That's okay. That's okay. You don't want it like where the VP Antico is completely hiding the stencil, like you can't see the stencil anymore, because then again, you're going to get that cupping. So basically what that means, if you have a flat edge and then you put too much, it's going to kind of cup up a bit on each one of these little rectangular dots. It's going to kind of cup over, which you don't really want that. So now let me go back and pick up these edges here. So now, like, my stencil's really down because the VP Antico is kind of holding it down. So I could just fill that in. I'll do the other one over here. Fill that in. And then my other two on the edges here, I have this right on the edge, so I don't need to do anything there. I have a little registration mark here. So you should have these on any of your large format stencils. There should be a little registration marks, and that kind of tells you, they're on all four corners on this particular stencil. That tells me where I'm going to line that up. So when I move this little circle, I'm going to find the circle on this side, and I'm going to put this little circle on top of that circle, and that's going to help me line up my pattern. So now I'm completely done. This has been stenciled completely, and I'm just gonna peel it up. You're not gonna wait for this to dry. You're going to peel it up as soon as you're done. So there it is. Now, does it have to be totally perfect? No, it doesn't have to be totally perfect, and you can see here on my edges, I'm just gonna run my finger along and just kind of wipe that back. Wipe that back. And then once it dries, I could just take some sandpaper and just very lightly kind of sand it. I'm just gonna use my finger here and run along this edge. And then the sandpaper will just knock down any of these kind of rough edges. And the other tip I want to tell you is when you're moving your stencil, you do want to, I see another chunk, I'm not going to freak out, it's all good. When you're moving your stencil, is with this particular technique, if this has VP Antico all over it and you lay it down in your piece, you're going to get VP Antico in spots where you don't want it. So I would suggest either cleaning it in between, or I just took a spray bottle of water just now, and you know, you can kind of just spritz this. These are shop towels. Again, we sell these on our website, or you can go to your local hardware store. Kind of just spray this down and then just wipe it. And just get the majority of the chunky stuff off of there. Just wipe it down. And then I would do both sides and make sure it's dry. You know, pretty dry, somewhat dry. And then you can go ahead and start with your second layer. So that's about it. You can use VP Antico through any kind of a stencil to create any raised designs. Think of maybe dresser drawers, and you want to put like some sort of pretty flowing vine, or Rockin' Roses is another really great stencil that we carry that has, you know, big florals on it. So there's lots and lots of different ways that you can use this. You can put it on furniture, you can do it on walls, you can do it on accessories. So the sky's the limit. I'll get your juices flowing, and go be creative. Go paint something. Don't be afraid. Open that can. Come visit us, Huntington or Massapequa. We hope to see you soon.